Hi everyone, welcome back to Unheard Stories. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the beautiful yet often exhausting and tiring life of parenting. I'm your host, Jenny.
I'm Daphne. So you're from the Health and Wellbeing Unit under the Office of the President at NUS. And today we're going to be playing a little game, right, to unpack some of the struggles that parents face in their day-to-day, beyond the physical exhaustion, things like emotional labor, fatigue, stress, and guilt, all this that possibly could impact our mental health. So with us today
is Zhengqin. He'll be here to join us to talk honestly about parenting.
Yeah, I'm Zhengqin. I'm a deputy head of the health and wellbeing team at NUS, and I'm also a clinical psychologist and a father of 4 children.
I have 2 young boys.
I have no children, but maybe I might be one day, so I'm a hopeful parent to be. So we're going to be playing this game. You all know Jenga, right? We're going to be taking turns to pick a block. We have pasted post-it notes, stickers over on the blocks. Yeah, so if you happen to pick one with the post-it notes, you will have to answer a question. Yeah, so we've prepared a series of questions, and they are
green for light and introductory warm-up questions, and then we have yellow, which will be the more in-depth, deeper questions, and then we have red cards, which will be even deeper, more insightful, more
raw. Yeah.
Okay, are you ready?
Sounds fun. And that's the biggest Jenga I've ever seen in my life. So I start by taking one. Let's see if I can get the middle one out. Ooh.
Oh, question already. So you'll just pick a card from here. Yeah. Let me read this out to you. So which parenting style are you the authoritarian, authoritative, neglectful, or permissive parenting? Do you think that you resonate with the most?
Yeah. So we have these 4 parenting styles.
Yeah.
You can refer, as you go up, there's the level of responsiveness, and then towards the right is the demandingness.
Well, of course, as a clinical psychologist, I must say the right answer is authoritative parenting, right? Because for those of you, if you can see the image or Google it later, is that it talks about solving problems together with your child, setting clear rules, expectations, and having open communication and natural consequences. I like to think that I'm the kind of parent who sets good, clear boundaries, sort of like standards for my kids, but also have warmth and kindness in my parenting. If I'm fully honest, I do think that sometimes I get into permissive zone when there are certain battles that I don't want to fight.
Do you think it's different for each child since you have 4 children?
That's a good question. I think that when I had only one child, it was easier to control and manage these things, such as the use of devices. With the first child, I can delay it for as long as possible. But then when my second child came, Mei will see Koko playing with a device and wonder, why can't I use it? And then they start to think about the principle of fairness, right? It's not fair if one can use and one can't use. So sometimes, unfortunately, I will have to either say both cannot use or both can use. And by the time you hit the 4th child and you're getting busy with life, it's a little bit harder to control, especially when we only have one TV at home, for example, and everyone is watching the TV together.
So in this case, you will have to be more authoritarian, you set more rules for the children.
Well, authoritarian, you do set rules, but also there's often a lack of warmth. I would say that I become a bit harsher when my patience is wearing thin, when I'm feeling more stressed and tired, for example. So unfortunately, that part of me does manifest.
Okay, let's move on, right?
Yes, let's go. Okay, I go first. I spotted this one. It's very loose. Yay, I'm clear. There's no sticker here. Oh, should we stack it up?
Oh.
What's the best gift you can give to a child?
Well, I'm quite practical. At least I think I'm very practical. I would have chosen insurance policy.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, with my second child, he had jaundice for the first month of his life. And so you couldn't enroll in an insurance policy. And if, he had any health complication, if you don't get the insurance policy, then it's not covered for the rest of his life. So it's best to get it as early as possible, right? So that's why I think insurance is quite a good gift you can get a child, especially to protect him beyond your lifetime, right?
For me, I would say that maybe I'm less practical or more idealistic. I think the most important thing for my children is for me to love my wife, because in the loving of the wife, it shows the kids that they are growing up in a secure and safe home. I'm also role modeling for them how they should treat other people in terms of their relationships, and how they, I suppose, besides health, the most important thing for me as a parent is that my kids learn to love each other or to love their parents. So that's what I value.
I think a lot of husbands should take note.
Yeah,
I don't do it perfectly though. So.
perspective. Yeah, it's really good perspective.
Let me go for, my gosh, this one.
Ooh, okay. Wow. Okay, the next one. What's one thing you swore you would never do as a parent, but you do now?
Okay, this sounds like a confession time. So I wouldn't say I swore, but I thought I would never use foul language in front of my children, and I have failed miserably. I think I have said all kinds of words that I don't want to say. Growing up, I thought I was a patient person. People would tell me I'm a very patient person until I had kids. Then I realized how low patience I have. And then, of course, when I get, yeah. And usually when I'm using foul language, it has to do with something other than my kids. It's got to do with like something I'm frustrated with at work or in the house, or unfortunately with my wife sometimes. And then I say something that I don't think I should say, so I don't want them to pick up that sort of language. In fact, I even scold them for using that sort of language. And my kids have called me out on it every time. Even if I say something like SHIT, you'll say daddy, and then I'll know, then I'll apologize for that. Jenny,
Oh
what about you?
wow. Okay, so like when we were dating, and this was before like smartphones, right? And when the smartphone first came out, we're like, oh, look at these people. They're so they don't pay attention to each other anymore. They're just on their devices, right? And I was thinking when I had kids, I'm not gonna give them devices so early. And lo and behold, like 10 years later, my kids are sitting in a restaurant with a device, Why we gave devices was because that social expectation of you have to keep your child under control in a restaurant. They can't be like all shouting and running around. And the easiest way was to give them a device, and then they would sit still and quiet. Yeah, so that was one of the things I thought I wouldn't do. Yeah.
When I see kids outside, right, when they're using their phones, and maybe the whole family is using the phone together during dinner time or meal times, right, I actually wonder, like whether do they interact or communicate much in the family.
I think when my kids were younger, we gave them devices because they wouldn't sit still and they would like run around or talk really loudly. But as they grow older, when we're able to convey our ideas like, oh, no more devices at the dinner table, they were okay. They're more receptive. Yeah.
Oh,
You're lucky.
Yay!
lucky.
Okay, how about we go with this? How do you respond when someone criticizes your parenting choices?
There's only one person that I can think of who's ever done that. I'm not sure if I should say this since we are being recorded. I'll risk it. I think she won't watch the podcast, but it's my mom-in-law. She has criticized me for certain parenting actions. She feels that I should be harsher when my kids do something wrong. And I disagree, because I think that the things that my kids do are not so critical that I should punish or scold them in the way that she's expecting it to.
So how do you respond to her?
I mean, this is tough, right? Because I still have to manage my relationship with my mom-in-law. So how do I manage? I try to thank her or validate her for her perspective without agreeing with her. As a therapist, that's what I also do. Like I can validate a person or empathize with their position, where they are coming from, without necessarily agreeing with their perspective. So
I find that the older generation also has their set of advice that they want to give. They will say, oh, don't coddle your children. But for me, it's like, oh, there's only a small period in time where you can be close with your children until they don't want you around anymore. They want to be off and be with their friends, right? So, like what Zhengqin say, thank you for the advice, but you still continue to be close to your children the way you want it to be, right?
Oh my gosh. It's looking
Be
very
careful.
unstable.
Okay, wait, I still need to stack it on top.
Yes.
So-
Careful.
Okay, I've got one.
So let's move on to the yellow cards. So, what's a recent invisible task you handled that your partner or others might not notice? And how do these micro tasks contribute to burnout?
I think for me, I clean the house quite regularly. And it's my own standard of hygiene and neatness and cleanliness. Yeah. Me and my partner have different expectations of cleanliness. Yeah. So I do a lot of cleaning, like cleaning the sink, cleaning the balcony and things like that. And I feel like it might not be too visible to him. Maybe. Yeah. I think cleaning requires a lot of physical strength as well as sometimes the mental space. Yeah, so maybe on a busy work day, I feel like it's just another chore or another task that I'm doing, and it could also maybe add on to the stress that I'm facing.
I don't know about burnout, but for me, I think like I said that I do pick up after my wife and my kids. And then when my wife says like, hey, you know why you still downstairs? Why you are taking so long? Then I feel unappreciated and it causes me to feel a little bit like irritated or agitated by that fact.
I think I can see that in my husband as well. Like I think he needs a lot more validating and to be recognized for all the things that he does. I don't do it as often.
What is one invisible task you'd like to recognize him for?
Not just not. It's not invisible task. I think it's a very visible task. I don't think the husband does invisible tasks. I think they're all very visible. Like in terms of physically picking up stuff, doing the homework with the kids, cleaning the dishes, they're all very visible. Whereas I feel like women have the invisible task as in remembering that the rice is running out or the dish soap or the toiletry or the kids have an appointment. Whereas the father really is the physical and really visible task.
So it's like the mental load
Yeah.
that tends to be on the wife. I mean, it might not, I think in maybe other families, it might be the husband who's doing that. It's just that in our experience, it sounds like more the women
Majority.
or the wives who are having that mental load and trying to remember all the details. When is what happening in the schedule and calendar.
And I think we're always like backward planning so that everything is there when you need it, but it's not like an immediate need, but it's really like forward planning and backward planning. So it's like we're planning like months in advance.
It's a safe one.
Is
let's
it the
see.
same one?
Okay. Oh,
getting
I keep
a little
getting.
How has parenthood changed your sense of identity beyond being a mom or dad?
At least in the latter half of my career, I've been in a leadership position. Being a parent has taught me a lot about being a leader, and being a leader has taught me a lot about being a parent. I do believe there are some similar dynamics that are kind of involved because like just now you mentioned how different children have different personalities and they respond to different actions or methods of discipline in different ways. So it's the same thing, I think, when I work with staff. How do I adapt my leadership approach to the staff member that I am working with, addressing, or even having a difficult conversation with? So there's a little bit of the parent-child dynamic, although it's not the same, obviously, right? Because they are not children, they are older, they are adults themselves. But how am I relating to them and managing their expectations, setting goals and standards, and having difficult conversations, sometimes having something in the matter of giving feedback to the staff member. So I see a lot of that playing out in my life. I think one informs the other, which makes things more interesting, and I feel like I learn more because in both areas I'm stretched. Yeah.
I have a different take on the question. I think it gives me more perspective on my own parents. and I can feel like I relate more to my parents. Like sometimes I don't feel like when I was a kid that I kind of like could understood my parents and why are they giving me this kind of advice, or I don't appreciate it. And I can relate to that as an adult, like with children. My children may not take my advice as I would take my parents' advice, or I don't feel like that I'm as adult as I think I am.
As a younger child, I used to think of my parents as like, they know a lot, they know everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And then as I grew older, I also realized that they don't know everything.
They don't have the answer.
They don't have the answers, or that we have a different kind of, I can disagree with their way of thinking. And then as an adult, I realized also we're trying to figure things out.
Right.
We don't know everything. We don't have all the answers as well. So I realize I can appreciate a bit more about the position or the challenge of being a parent, not knowing all the answers, being imperfect and having that uncertainty.
It's just the word I was getting at. We're imperfect. We don't
Yeah.
have the answers.
It's very shaky now, right? Very risky. I got a question.
It's kind of funny that you say it's shaky, then you decide to pull one from the bottom.
What's a fear you have about your burnout that may impact if you're in your future children in the long run?
I think if I'm burnt out or like when I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I tend to be less regulated. Yeah, so I'm imagining that if I'm less regulated, maybe my kids would feel that they would not want to approach me more. Like, maybe the fear of like the emotions, or then them getting scolded or things like that. Yeah. So I guess the impact on the kids would be that they might have that fear of approaching me.
So
What do
for
you think?
Maintaining the closeness is important, lah.
Yeah.
Regardless of how stressed or burnt out.
Yeah. I think it's important to me to have that connection, like the emotional connection, if I do have kids. And I want them to feel safe and close to me. Yeah.
For me, I think it would be like if I were very burnt out, I would feel like I would neglect spending time with them, because I wouldn't have the mental capacity to be present, and I will probably need a lot of like time to myself just to recharge, and so that would take away the limited time we have together, because they go to school Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5, 6, you come off from work. There's only a few hours before they sleep. And then if you're not available, that time is gone, and they grow up very fast.
Yeah, I think time with children is actually one of the most important things. So you're right. Whether it's their primary love language or not, it does have a huge impact on them. I think for me, it's about not being able to take care of things like responsibilities, taking care of the kids, taking care of the home, and that it will then fall on my wife or my partner to then have to manage that. That will increase the burden. We have also started recently a parent support group. I think this is a need that we have seen when in our therapy with the staff, that has always come up. So I think it's a group will continue.
I think it's also nice to have a community, like group support, and they don't feel so lonely or alone in their own journey.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, especially fathers, I think they tend to DIY. They don't ask a lot of questions. They don't reach out for support when they need it. I think it's very important for us to open up and ask for help.
Okay, shall we move on to the next one? Whose turn is it now? Oh, I just picked the last.
Yeah, so it's my turn. Okay, let's see. Okay, safe.
Oh, you have a sticker.
I do
Okay.
have one. Okay.
Have you ever used any mental health resources for your dependents or yourself? And any barriers you face in the process?
Okay, so in terms of mental health resource for myself or for my dependent, I think I would be more open to using mental health resource for my children versus myself, as I feel like One, I want to spend the money on my children and the time and effort on my children, versus if it was for my own self, I feel like, oh, it's taking my time away from work, from being a parent. So I weigh the time I need to spend on myself first.
So firstly is the consideration about cost and then the time as well.
Correct. Yeah.
For me, I use coaching. So I just now I mentioned Intellect. We have all the staff here can download an app. So I have used coaching to work through certain challenges or difficulties that I face, and the barrier for me, of course, was managing time. So when I felt busy, then I stopped like signing up for the sessions. But I did find it to be quite helpful for me to reflect on certain struggles I was facing or certain guilt that I had in terms of how I was managing time, how I was growing as a leader and a therapist, and how I was managing family situations at home. I think it's important if you need help to seek professional help. You know, here at Health and Wellbeing in NUS, we do have support from our counselors, our psychologists, that you can reach out to us for therapy. Just go on our website and you can book an appointment with us. That's one thing that you can consider doing. We have our well-being specialist partners who are all trained psychologists who can provide therapy.
You got the sticker.
Lucky me.
How did you deal with guilt when you had to choose between work and parenting?
I think for me, I tell myself about the responsibilities that I have, whether it's in regards to work or at home. So if I know that I have a particular thing to deliver on work, just as I believe it's important to be reliable at home, I need to be reliable in the workplace. So I make sure that I get the responsibility done. Like I say, I apologize to my kids if I can't spend time or do the thing, or if I forget to pick them up from school, which has happened before. I'm apologetic, but I don't dwell on that guilt.
I think I don't have that much more of a struggle between work and parenting, because I feel like, or like guilt is because when I decided to have children, I decided to downgrade in my career or job. And I went for a more stable 9 to 5 job. That position had a more routine kind of work, so that I had more free thinking capacity to be able to think about like all the things I need to do at home, and that helped. But of course, I did have the guilt whenever I had to go out for a night, or had to travel by myself or something like that. Right, I would feel guilty for leaving for a set period of time that I would have otherwise been spent at home with the kids. But as I got older, then I realized that in order for me to be a good mom, I need to be happy also. Then of course, I will still have a little bit of guilt for like going away for an evening with friends, but it's less so because I know at the end of it, I would kind of like offload all the pressure I had for the month, right?
I think parental guilt is so common, right? And unavoidable. We'll feel guilty about something. So I think we need to sort of manage our emotions around that so that it doesn't make us, like I shared, about being ineffective.
Okay, so it's my turn.
Yes.
Okay. Oi!
Oh
Does that mean this is the last question?
no! Yes, I think so.
So the last question is, what's a memory from your own childhood that shaped how you parent today, or how I would parent?
Yeah. It was more of like how I felt as a child, that my parents were not there for me, and therefore, like, if I'm a parent myself, I would want to be there for my children. So just as I shared at the start about how I value that connection with, if I do have children. Yeah. So when I was very young, I grew up with my grandmother. Yeah, so I stayed with my grandma for many years. I do enjoy the times. I enjoyed the times with my grandma. But I do feel at a point in time that I was kind of left behind by my parents. Yeah, so then I think because of that, I feel like I wanted more of that emotional connection. Yeah, so I think this is something that stays with me still, and it's still something that I'm working through. Yeah, and I hope that one day if I'm a parent, I would be very mindful about this aspect.
I think I share a similar story. Like my parents didn't weren't around for special occasions like my birthday, or I had a very important interview that I needed my parents to pick me up and send me to, and they had always found a way to miss these kind of occasions or forgot these kind of appointments. And I think that's something that's why I overcompensate in my parenting style by always being present, always being around, trying to make every moment very special, like for their birthday or for Christmas. It's kind of me trying to give them the experience that I felt like I lacked, or that I think that they would remember.
I think it's a powerful testament. Both of you have shared stories about negative experiences, or at least like things that you felt you were lacking in your childhood, and that you want to sort of like recorrect that for your children. We've often heard about like intergenerational trauma. Trauma gets passed down from generation to generation. Of course, I use the term trauma quite broadly because they may not be strongly traumatic experiences, but just like you say, like I'm lacking the emotional support or warmth or validation from my parents, but I want to not do the same for my children. I want them to have that warmth, that validation, that affection that I was missing as a child. So that's wonderful to hear from both of you. Yeah.
I think there's no right or wrong way to parent, as long as what you're trying to do is find them a loving home, that they can feel loved and feel safe, and that you are present to give them the support and guidance that they need.
I think for me, the takeaway is that that there's so much commonality for our experience as parents, but also as aspiring parents, that we kind of go through similar experiences, struggles, and form quite common perspectives about that. And I do find especially that last point where as a child growing up, we can take so-called negative experiences from when we were children and then turn that into something positive. I think it's quite symbolic that we have this Jenga, right? The Jenga, it looks collapsed, but it's something that we can pick the pieces up again together and rebuild, especially rebuild that relationship with our own children or with our own parents where there has been some sort of disruption or perhaps mistakes that we have made as parents, that there is hope for us.
I think my biggest takeaway is just really hearing your stories and learning from the both of you, all the different challenges that you have overcome as a parent, and the tips, that you even share with us about parenting. Yeah, so like for yours, it's really the how you want to model that love with your spouse, and have that love for your children and letting them see that love as well. It's really interesting, and it really makes me helps me to reflect a lot on my own experiences.
Well, thanks for having me. I think it's been really fun. I think it's also been an opportunity to get to know both of you better, which I always value as as colleagues, that we have this time to talk about something that maybe we don't have the opportunity to talk so much about.
So whether you are a parent or not, we hope that this episode has been helpful for you. We'll also be sharing more resources in the
Show notes.
Okay, we'll also be sharing more resources in the show notes, so you can check it out. Okay, we'll see you at the next episode. Bye!